over a year after assisting Miles Morales in taking down Kingpin on Earth 65 in New York City, Gwen Stacy describes how she finds it difficult to build relationships with anyone there, and how she feels alone in her role as Spider-Woman. She remembers her best friend Peter Parker, the last person she felt a connection to after leaving her band. He and his Aunt May were very close to Gwen and her father, Police Captain George Stacy, even though she kept her secret superhero life from them all. Peter endured constant bullying at school, despite Gwen's best efforts to stand up for him. He began conducting risky chemical experiments without her knowledge. A huge lizard monster attacked the school the night of prom and attempted to kill Peter's bully. When Gwen fought him off in the form of Spider-Woman, the structure fell on top of the monster. Peter, who had been fatally hurt by the debris, was returned by the lizard. It was too late for Gwen to save him. Before passing away in her arms, Peter told her he knew she was Spider-Woman and reassured her. When Captain Stacy discovered Spider-Woman lying next to Peter's body, she assumed the masked vigilante had killed him and launched a citywide manhunt for her. The killer of Gwen's best friend is still on the loose, and when she gets home, her dad is waiting for her. He quickly leaves to respond to a disturbance at the Guggenheim Museum, despite Gwen telling him it's not good. After taking out the police outside and entering to discover that the Vulture has been drawn into her dimension and is causing havoc there, Gwen quickly follows him in the disguise of Spider-Woman. She is held down by the antagonist, but Miguel O'Hara, alias Spider-Man 2099, another time traveler from another dimension, frees her. He explains to her that ever since the Collider incident in Miles' world, Vulture and others like him have been drawn into parallel universes. His equipment and abilities are still failing to contain the Renaissance-era Vulture, so he uses Lila, an AI, to request assistance from Jessica Drew, another Spider-Woman. While Miguel almost used a pair of hidden fangs on the creature, the three were able to stop Vulture and save the local residents and police officers. Gwen, who is hurt and outside the web, stops to rest. Captain Stacy discovers her, surrounds her, and tries to take her in. To his surprise, she reveals her identity as his daughter when she has no other choice. She tries to reason with him and insists that she is innocent of Peter's death, but he keeps arresting her. Miguel and Jess, who are getting ready to return the Vulture to their dimension, manage to stop him. Miguel, who was very hesitant, agrees to let Gwen travel with them after Jess persuades him otherwise. A few months later, on Earth 1610, in Brooklyn, a new minor bad guy named The Spot makes an unsuccessful attempt to rob an ATM using his spots, which produce portals whose placement he is powerless to control. Spider-Man, also known as Miles Morales, shows up to stop him. Although Spot insists that the seemingly harmless criminal is Spider-Man's enemy, he does not take him seriously because it is obvious that he is incompetent and doesn't want to hurt anyone. Before he has a chance to respond, Miles receives frantic texts from his parents, Rio and Jefferson, who are waiting for him at school to meet with his principal to discuss his plans for college. Although Miles makes a quick attempt to kill Spot, the haphazard portals cause a chaotic chase across the city. After finally controlling Spot, Miles must depart to meet his parents. Although Miles is doing okay in school, his unexplained absences have taken a toll on some of his grades and all of his extracurricular activities. His desire to attend a college in New Jersey to study dimensional travel has his parents worried as well. As soon as he realizes Spot has escaped, he abruptly departs, and Jeff follows him, much to Rio's chagrin. Following Spider-Man as he resumes his battle with Spot, the faceless man feels aggrieved that Spider-Man considers him a minor villain. The three of them wind up in the Alchemax Collider's ruins after teleporting all over. Since the Spot used to work as a scientist at Alchemax, the company Miles threw a bagel at in the first movie and conducted the test that brought the spider that bit Miles through from another dimension, the Spot informs Spider-Man that this is where they were both created. Similar to how Miles' destruction of the Collider caused an accident that permanently changed Spot into the humanoid portal creature he is today, because of his condition, the Spot was avoided by his co-workers, friends, and even family. He attacks Spider-Man and Lieutenant Morales out of rage, but unintentionally kicks himself into a deep portal, which closes behind him. Jeff is upset about the fight's collateral damage, including the fact that the criminal got away. He tells Spider-Man about his difficulties being a good husband and father, and the disguised Miles awkwardly offers guidance before departing. The Spot discovers himself in a void filled with numerous portals that his spots have created. He discovers by looking through them that he can leave the in-between space and enter other dimensions, but that doing so depletes his energy and prevents him from coming back. In order to control the void and defeat Spider-Man, he resolves to find a way to gain more strength. Miles keeps attempting to strike a balance between his obligations as Spider-Man and his life as Miles. He stops to get cakes on the way to a big party to celebrate his dad's impending promotion to police captain, but on the way back, Spider-Man obligations keep getting in the way, preventing him from hearing his father speak. The cakes are ruined when he finally arrives, and his parents confront him about his shady behavior. As he struggles to come up with an explanation, Miles gets angry and yells at his parents. Miles is grounded by Rio and Jeff and then storms off to his room. Gwen receives a watch from Miguel, who then unexpectedly appears through a dimensional portal and extends an invitation to hang out. Gwen tells him everything about Miguel's organization, the Spider Society, which she joined to aid in defending the various universes, as they get into their gear. While Miles shares his own struggles with the pressure from his parents, Gwen confides in him that he is the only friend she has made since her friend Peter died, as the two of them continue to patrol the city. He considers simply telling them the truth, but Gwen cautions him against doing so. As they approach, Gwen observes that Gwen Stacy always falls for Spider-Man in alternate realities, but it always results in tragedy. Miles expresses hope that the story will finally come to a happy conclusion. Back at the party, Gwen demonstrates to Miles how to use her dimension-jumping watch, which also keeps her stable so she won't glitch when she travels to other worlds. When Miles inquires about joining the Spider Society, she abruptly closes off and suggests that it is an exclusive, highly specialized group. As soon as Jeff and Rio arrive to meet Gwen, they express their disapproval of their friendship. When Gwen's watch signals that she must leave, Jeff departs from Rio to speak with Miles. They have a sincere discussion, but Miles doesn't reveal his identity as Spider-Man because he is afraid of what Gwen told him. Rio gives him the go-ahead to pursue Gwen. Miles puts on his gear, follows Spider-Gwen to a recently damaged and abandoned building, uses his abilities to become invisible, and follows her inside. She reconstructs what took place using the time on her watch, noticing that Spot created a miniature collider to give him the strength to jump between dimensions. Jess, who is upset that Gwen didn't catch Spot before he ran away, calls Gwen when she freaks out and expresses her anger. Despite Gwen's insistence that she had to see Miles, she realizes that Gwen disobeyed explicit orders to avoid him. Before telling Miguel, she gives Jess one last chance to get Spot before announcing her permanent departure from Miles' dimension. Gwen uses her watch to pass through a portal, while Lila follows him. Miles dives in after her because he wants to learn more about the Spider Society, and because he is lonely without his friends. They eventually land on Earth 50101, Mumbattan, where New York is a sizable Indian metropolis. While Gwen is pursuing Spot, who has significantly more control over his abilities and is able to elude her with ease, Miles unintentionally crosses paths with her. Additionally, Miles meets Pavat Prabhakar, a Spider-Man in the area. Despite being Spider-Man for only 6 months, Pavat has already joined the Spider Society. Like the others did the year before, Miles begins to spasm as a result of being removed from his universe, and as he tries to protect Gwen, he almost hurts her. The three adhere to Spot to the Alchemax on Earth 50101, which has a collider that is ready for use. Spot turns on the device and blocks them out with a force field. Miles attempts to breach the force field using his Venom abilities, but it is too slow and ineffective. Miles receives advice from another spider person who also appears and breaks through the barrier using his own powers. He is Spider-Punk, a British anti-establishment anarchist Spider-Man who is Hobie Brown, a friend of Gwen. He joins the others in their futile attempt to prevent Spot from entering the collider. Miles sees a vision of his father and another police officer being killed during a battle in the city as Spot absorbs the power. Spot promises Miles that he will exact revenge for what the teen hero's actions have done to him and departs dimensions once more, now completely obscured by the dark portals and unrecognizably. The 4 spider people cooperate to protect the civilians as the structure begins to crumble and fall onto Manhattan. Pavik notices that his girlfriend's father, Police Inspector Singh, is also in danger as he works to save a bus carrying his girlfriend. Gwen prevents Miles from rescuing him, claiming that the situation is too risky. Even so, Miles manages to save the inspector, much to the relief and gratitude of Pavik and his girlfriend. To contain it, a transport carrying several other spider people, including Jess, arrives after a black portal appears in the center of the city. Jess tells Gwen, Hobie, and Miles to accompany her back to headquarters. Gwen is wary while Miles is relieved to be allowed inside the Spider Society. In the year 2099, they are transported to Earth 928, Nueva York, a stunningly futuristic place. As they enter the Spider Society headquarters, Miles encounters a large number of spider beings from various dimensions. Spider-Bite, a virtual reality spider who can be remotely controlled by Margot Kess, a young woman. He also encounters anomalies, villains exiled from their own dimensions who are held captive in anticipation of being returned to their original dimensions by the Go Home machine, a machine that reads the DNA of the anomalies and does just that. Hobie warns Miles to consider carefully why he wants to be a part of the society, warning him to know what he's fighting for before he accepts their methods when they are summoned to see Miguel. Miguel is enraged at Miles and Gwen for interfering and for letting Spot escape. Peter B. Parker, the Spider-Man who assisted Miles the previous year with his infant daughter Mayday, interrupts him. Miguel decides to explain the situation to Miles because he wants to know what is happening. He demonstrates to him an algorithm that details every Spider-Man in every universe, along with the characteristics that bind them all together, such as the loss of a loved one inspiring them to act heroically. These occurrences, according to Miguel, are canon events that are fundamental to every Spider-Man universe. These events cannot be altered because doing so would violate the canon and have disastrous repercussions. Miguel explains that he himself violated the canon when he attempted to raise the daughter of a murdered version of himself by replacing that version of himself. However, because of his interference, both that dimension and everyone inside of it vanished. A police captain who was close to Spider-Man dying while attempting to save a child is one of the other details that many spider people share, and that the algorithm can track. Along with Hobie, Peter B. and Jess have also experienced this death. Captain Singh was supposed to experience it in Manhattan, but Miles saved him, bringing about the appearance of the black energy and its threat to engulf the entire world. In order to maintain the canon of the algorithm, Gwen was trying to stop him. Miles is aware that his father will soon be promoted to the rank of captain, and Spot's vision depicted the villain killing Jefferson while he was attempting to save a child. When Miles is sworn in 2 days from now, Miguel confirms that, based on their predictions, Miles' father will pass away. Miles wants to go save him, but Miguel forbids him, saying that all spider people must make the sacrifice, and that if the canon were to be damaged too much, every dimension would be wiped out. Even Peter B. and Gwen refrain from interfering as the other spider people surround Miles and tell him the same thing. Miguel traps Miles in a force cage with the intention of keeping him there until the canon event has taken place because Miles disputes the idea that the algorithm knows exactly what will happen if he tries to save his dad. When Hobie reminds Miles of his venomous abilities, Miles escapes the cage and takes off. Before leaving the Spider Society and going back to his own dimension, Hobie proudly observes. Miles manages to escape them and enter the underground city after Miguel orders every spider person in the skyscraper to capture him. Finding him, Peter B. tries to convince him to give up for his own good by telling him that Miles gave him the courage to become a father. Miles abandons Peter when Miguel follows them using the data from Peter's watch because he won't let his father pass away just because Miguel's algorithm says it is meant to. Miguel pursues Miles mercilessly as he flees on a train headed for the moon. He catches him and angrily tells Miles that he is an anomaly himself, and that the spider that bit him came from another dimension, and that he could never be a member of the Spider Society. It was never intended to bite him, and as a result, there is a world out there without any Spider-Man at all. When Peter B. and Gwen finally catch up with him and unintentionally admit that they knew about it, Miles feels betrayed by his own friends. Despite this, he tells Miguel that he will never give up and that he has successfully lured all of the spider people away from the headquarters by using his venom strike to depower Miguel's suit. Miguel and the others are left on the train as he disappears and makes his way back to HQ. The go-home machine is turned on, and his DNA is scanned. Spider-Bite allows the machine to run despite Miguel's valiant attempts to stop it, sending Miles away. Miguel, who is furious, tells Ben and Jess, aka Scarlet Spider, to accompany him on a hunt for Miles. In front of everyone, Gwen challenges Miguel, suggesting that maybe Miles is correct and that maybe Spider-Man 2099's algorithm doesn't know for sure what will occur if the canon is broken. Gwen is exiled to her own dimension by Miguel using the go-home machine. Upon their return to Earth 616, Peter B. and Mayday discover his wife Mary Jane waiting for them. Mary Jane reassures Peter when he begins to doubt his ability to be a good parent. Gwen is left in Earth 65 while Miles travels to New York. Additionally, Jessica, Scarlet, and Miguel teleport to New York. Gwen makes valiant attempts to get back and find Miles, but her watch has been turned off. Her dad discovers her as she enters her apartment to gather her belongings. When they do finally have a conversation, Gwen explains why she felt she could never tell George about her alter ego, and George announces his resignation from the police department. When Gwen realizes he won't be a captain anymore, they make up. Hobie left George a package with a homemade dimension watch made from Spider Society stolen components, which George gives to Gwen. In order to return to Miles' Earth, Gwen uses it. Miles is running through the city to his apartment, while Jess, Miguel, and Ben split up to look for him. Miles is thinking about everything the other spider people have told him as he does so. He returns safely to his bedroom, where his mother discovers him. As he talks incoherently about everything that has occurred to him since leaving, Miles encircles her. He makes the decision to stop being afraid and tells her that he is Spider-Man. Rio, on the other hand, is unaware of Spider-Man and goes about her evening. Gwen enters the empty bedroom where Miles is staying in Earth 1610 as Miles begins to spasm due to dimensional displacement. Miles discovers that the go-home machine transported him to Earth 42, the dimension from which the spider that bit him originated. However, Jeff is nowhere to be found, and Rio is working extra hard to try to support herself and her son. Miles' uncle Aaron Davis, who is still alive in this world, shows up. Aaron asks Miles if he remembers the plan as they ascend to the roof. As they leave, Miles notices that his father has already perished in this alternate reality's New York, which is a dangerous landscape ruled by villains and plagued by crime. Miles is aware that Spider-Man does not exist on Earth 42. Before Miles can respond to Aaron's text, an unidentified assailant knocks him out. Gwen overhears Mr. and Mrs. Morales frettingly discussing their feelings of estrangement from their son in the adjacent room. When Gwen shows up and admits that it is her fault that he hasn't come back, Jeff shows some respect for her after learning that her father is a police officer. Rio asks her to tell Miles they still love him when she finds him before she departs to find him. Miles awakens in Aaron's apartment, bound. He tries to explain that he comes from a different universe where Aaron is dead and his father is still alive. He tells Aaron that his uncle never really wanted to be the Prowler, appealing to Aaron's nobler side. Miles is shown Miles Morales of Earth 42 by Aaron, who informs him that he is not the Prowler. After hearing his fascinating tale, Prowler Miles begs his counterpart to let him go so he can save their father. Prowler Miles, on the other hand, doesn't intend to let him go. To find and save Miles, Gwen assembles her own team, which consists of Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Ham, Hobie, Paviter, Margot, Peter B., and Mayday, Penny Parker and her robot SP//DR, Paviter, and Mayday. Miles begins to charge up his venom as they begin their mission using Hobie's homemade portals.